What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so this is a question I got a couple of days ago, and I'm just now answering it. So I'm sorry. It took me about a week or so to answer this question, but I was definitely going to do a video about this. But I wanted to wait until I was able to do a proper video. Someone asked me, I think it was Rage Man Red. She said, do I think the 2020s will be as competitive as the 1970s? Now, of course, the 1970s, that was really the only decade that didn't feature a dynasty level team so far. The 2000 teams had the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors. In the 2000s, you had Kobe and Shaq's Lakers. In the 90s, the Bulls, of course, with Michael Jordan. The 80s, Showtime Lakers. In the 60s, you had Bill Russell's Celtics. In the 50s, you had George Mikan's Lakers. Now, if you include the 40s, they weren't dynasty, but it wasn't a full decade. In the 70s, if you include the 69-70 Knicks, we only had two-time champions. The Boston Celtics in 74 and 76, and the Knicks in 70 and 73. Matter of fact, if you look at it, the Knicks won a championship in 70. Milwaukee wins it in 71, wins 66 games. You think that the Bucks might have a little dynasty on their hands, but it doesn't happen. The very next year in 72, the Lakers win 69 games and win their first championship in Los Angeles. But the very next year, 73, the Lakers begin to show their age and they lose to the New York Knicks. But then the next year, 74, Boston makes a return from the Bill Russell era and wins a championship. 1975 is Rick Barry and the Golden State Warriors upsetting the Washington Bullets in the finals, sweeping them. 76, the Celtics win another championship. 77 is the upstart Portland Trailblazers with Bill Walton. 78, some people felt Portland was going to be a dynasty, but Bill Walton suffers that horrific foot injury that ended his career with Portland. And then in 78, of course, it was the Washington Bullets winning it all. And then in 79, it was the Sonics. So there was never any, continuing dominance for any particular team. Now, will we see this in the 2020s? I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The way that players move around in free agency, I think is making it much harder for teams to keep talent. If you're a up-and-coming rising player, and you have a high upside, and there's already two all-stars on the team, two superstar level players, or two all-star level players, what's the chances of the organization keeping all three of those guys? Very low. This isn't the 1960s. Guys are chasing the money. So it's going to be hard for franchises to do what rarely happens. Was Golden State, did, or what Boston did, is strike gold when it comes to picks, and then picking up, surrounding those picks with great talent. It doesn't happen often. So in my opinion, what I think is going to happen is I think this is going to be the most competitive decade since the 70s. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see one particular team dominate the NBA. You know what I mean? I don't see a repeat of what happened in the 2000 teams with, remember every year we could just pencil in Cleveland and Golden State for a while, for like 3 or 4 years. We could just pencil them in. I don't know if that's going to happen right now. Look, in the East, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. If Joel Embiid ever gets completely healthy. The way James Harden is playing this year, if he can carry that into the postseason. You notice I haven't done a lot of videos on James Harden because this year he's been balling. For the most part, I can't really knock him. But if he but the thing is, can he do that in the postseason? If he continues in the postseason, then man, maybe we got to look at Philly. Then as the years go on, you got to see what is going to happen with some of the younger players. Victor Wembanyama, wherever he goes. Maybe that's a team that's going to happen to be reckoned with in the late 2020s. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic. There's so much talent that's dispersed now across the NBA, as opposed to the 2000 teams when you look at the Eastern Conference and LeBron really didn't have much competition. As a matter of fact, someone put up a very interesting statistic. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the statistic said that the only... Let me make sure this is correct before I go forward with this. I believe that the stat said that the only All-NBA player that LeBron faced in his stint with Miami and Cleveland, or at least I think with Cleveland, I'll say. No, it had to be Miami. I'm trying to remember the stat that I saw. I think it said the only All-NBA team player that he faced in the 2000 teams, I think they said it was Derrick Rose. Whereas Steph Curry faced like 4 All-NBA players in the playoffs last year alone. Which goes to show you how porous the East was during LeBron James's peak. As a matter of fact, I wanted to make a video saying this, but I want to say this now. To all of the people out there who just so incessant on dissing the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, right? I want you guys to keep that same energy about how each generation is getting better. I want you guys to keep that same energy as the Victor Wembanyamas and the Giannis's mature into his early 30s, reaches his peak. Nikola Jokic, Luka, John Morant. I want you guys to keep that same energy when they start saying, "Look, well, we're more skilled than LeBron or KD were. We're more skilled than Steph Curry were in that era. We're more competitive. We're more talented in the 2020s and 2030s than LeBron era." Keep that same energy. Don't turn into us and start saying, "Oh, but wait a minute now. You gotta remember that LeBron was do." Don't do that. No. Don't turn to the old man shaking his fist on the lawn that you claim that we are. Keep that same energy. Say, yup, y'all was more talented than the guys I rooted for. Yup, Victor Wembanyama, we never had nobody like that before. 7'5" can shoot. Nope, he's better than KD. Keep that same energy. Every generation is better. Keep it up. Don't change up because now it affects the guys that you're rooting for or like. So anyway, in conclusion, I think that I have a feeling that with the talent level dispersed throughout the NBA, with all the good teams, you're kind of seeing it right now in the West. Even though teams aren't, performing, a lot of teams aren't performing at the level that we're accustomed. This is the first time in a very long time, I think since the early 2000s, that no team in the NBA is on pace to win 60 games. No team. That's a indicator of the competition level in the NBA. Now, the product of the NBA sucks, in my opinion. But the league is more competitive. I'll give them that. But tell me what you guys think.